Well, ladies and gentlemen, when the meltdown starts, it is hard to stop it, and it is absolutely destroying Helldivers. I mean, I myself am shocked just how far this has gone. I did not think that this much negative reviews would come from players, but it is staggering, and it is even more staggering when you think about how fast it happened, right? In about 24 to 48 hours, you have over 120,000 negative reviews for Helldivers ever since Sony is now starting to try to mandate the PSN account to play on PC.
Have you ever heard the expression, the customer is always right?
And I gotta tell you, man, it makes me unbelievably happy when gamers actually get united on something. And you would be more likely to see it from PC players. I gotta be honest with you. Like I said in my last video, console players are way more known to just take whatever the hell these corporations will give them because they're so desperate to just get anything. They'll just get ransacked and bend over whenever the hell they're told to. Not all of you guys, but most of you guys, unfortunately, do that. And it kind of sets us back. But PC players do not give a fuck. And the moment you lie to PC players and the moment you try to gaslight them and say it was always like that when it wasn't, yep, you're going to end up with a really bad thing to deal with. So let's get into this article, guys, from Fandom Pulse. But of course, before we do, if you are new here, just consider hitting that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it, and like the video to push us out into that YouTube algorithm. It says it's only been 1 day since the announcement that Helldivers 2 would require PC players to have a PSN account, and already the game has lost its mostly positive review score on Steam. Now, keep in mind how popular this game was. This game was massively popular. You had basically almost every single YouTuber streaming this damn game. Every YouTuber that I know was streaming this damn game. They were all playing this game. And this game had an insane amount of players playing at one given time. You're talking about hundreds of thousands of players per day. It's insane. And you also have to think about the good press that it had, especially in a time which so many games were getting bad press, right? When all this stuff was happening with Sweet Baby Inc. and Suicide Squad and all that, this game came in and said, you know what? We're going to just give you a game that you can have fun in, get together with your friends, no bullshit, no hassle, just that's it, play. Like that, it was such a simple concept, and yet it was massively successful because it was simple. It wasn't trying to tell you how bad you were because you don't support trans lives. You know what I mean? Like, that's the kind of thing that players were happy about. And now, all of a sudden, Sony or Arrowhead, whoever was in charge of making this decision, because you really don't know at the end of the day, I think both companies are going to try to save face, but I would just put them together at this point. They decided to make this a thing, and now they're getting roasted. So, again, guys, as of writing of this article, there are currently more than 120,000 negative reviews dropped since the official X account for Helldivers 2 told players of this controversial change. And if you look at this, oh my God, that is insane, man. 32% of all reviews is now negative within 24 hours. That is a staggering number. That is a staggering number, ladies and gentlemen. Holy shit, players, gamers are not messing around. And there is no way that Sony can just put their head in the sand for much longer. I mean, you have 75,000 signatures on the free Stellar Blade campaign. You have 120,000 negative reviews for one of the most popular games you released ever. And now all of a sudden, it's one of the worst reviewed games ever. I mean, this thing is crazy. It says, while it is true that Sony is hardly the first company to require a mandatory sign-up to their service in order to play one of their games, the truth of the matter is that this is the first time Sony has ever made it a requirement. And that's what I've been saying. Sony, this is the first game Sony has ever made it a requirement, and this is the problem that people have with it. You have a lot of disingenuous fucks out there who are trying to say, oh, what's the big deal? When you play every other game with any other service, you have to sign up for it. Yeah, you're right. And those services told you ahead of time that it was mandatory. Guess who didn't tell you ahead of time it was mandatory? Sony, which is why in their TOS, it said optional up until May 3rd, and then after May 3rd, they tried to sneak it in there as if nobody was going to notice, and it says some games will be mandatory. Like, you can't change those things and think people won't notice, right? Like, people are not stupid. Gamers are not stupid. And we keep trying to explain this, and they just don't get it. So they get a ton of backlash, and they wonder why they're getting the backlash when everybody else is doing the same exact thing. It's because you were not doing the same exact thing. That's why people liked you. You were being different. And the moment you started to do all the other shit that everybody else is forcing you to do, and I'm sorry, Sony, out of everybody else, you have the worst service. You absolutely have the worst service. PlayStation Network, it is the most compromised service out there by far. You got hacked like 15 times in 15 years. I'm not even kidding. Like, you are the worst service by far. I would not trust my information with you with my Steam account at all. I refuse. Then it says, what makes matters worse is that the actual reasoning provided by the official Helldivers 2 account in Sony doesn't make much sense. It doesn't, because they thought of it at the last second. Whenever they say it's about safety, that's like when a politician sells you some shit and they're like, yeah, we're doing this law for safety. We're totally trying to make you feel safer and be safer. Yeah, okay. Sure you are. It says that in their words, the change is being made to protect players from griefing and abuse. Bullshit. But given that players engaging in such behavior can already be punished on Steam, it appears to be nothing more than a data grab by Sony. And given Sony's notorious history of not securing their users' personal data, as well as the massive spam mailers they send out to PC players are rightfully outraged, it seems Sony has really destroyed one of their most popular games, all in a poor attempt to build up their PSN account numbers. And you know what? That's what they're honestly trying to do. There's a conspiracy going around. I don't know if I believe this, but there's a conspiracy going around that Sony decided to do this now because they realized that the backlash they were getting from Free Stellar Blade and people canceling, their PlayStation Network and all that shit. They thought that if they can get all the players that they have, because they have a lot of players on Helldivers, if they could get all of them to sign up for PSN, it's going to make them look really good in front of investors. Because when people start asking questions, hey, what are you doing about this campaign and all the players you're losing because you're being assholes, they can just say, well, look, we gained all these players by making XYZ mandatory, and we gained all these accounts that could potentially lead to sales on PSN, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know if I believe that, but it's not too shocking when you really think about it. It says, and while the rabid PS fangirls, which they are out there, defending Sony for this overreach, argue that this change was always how the game was supposed to launch, the actual Q&A section for PSN accounts had clearly stated that it was always optional to have a PSN account to play a Sony game on the PC. It was only yesterday that a stealth edit had been made to their site in which the language was changed to some PlayStation games may require you to sign in and link an account for PSN. If it's really true that this was always how Helldivers 2 is going to launch, then the obvious question becomes, why wasn't the PSN Q&A changed prior to the launch of Helldivers 2 back in February? And that's the trump card, ladies and gentlemen. That is the obvious trump card. You lose the argument when you showcase this picture because it was optional. It was never mandatory. It was never meant to be mandatory. At some point in time, they thought to themselves, hey, we need to make this mandatory for XYZ reason. Let's see if we could get away with it. And they did it. They did it. That's basically it. They did it, and they are getting roasted for it. So now we are going to see what's going to happen because they say that they have internal discussions happening, just like Shift Up said they have internal discussions happening. You got two different dramas happening right now, massive dramas with discussions happening all over with Sony. I'm sure Sony corporate is losing their fucking mind over what's happening between both games, but we're going to see what ends up happening as a result from both dramas. In my opinion, I hope that they reverse this, but for me, it's too late. I've already uninstalled the game. Whether or not I get my refund or not, I don't give a shit. They've already shown me what they were trying to do, and now I do not trust them to buy another multiplayer Sony game on PC. I just refuse. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you did enjoy it, and if you did, consider leaving me a subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to like the video, comment, let me know what you thought, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Hypnotic out.